Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerdlings of all ages, welcome to the second best of three cast here on Jorasar's stream for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice Qualifier. Spawning over here in the bottom left position on Daybreak, it is the green Protoss player who is set to work his way through the bracket, defeating Mana. It is the one, the only, the Grubby. However, he's going to be going up against a very strong Zerg player that has just defeated Hasu and sent him down to the lower bracket. What will he be able to do here? It is our Russian Zerg player from Ruxkiss, LiveZerg. So already we're seeing ridiculously cool matches come out left, right, and center here in just round number one. And this is going to be a winners round 2 match. And after this, we're basically going to be following whatever games are likely to be available. So they could be from the winners or the losers bracket, or as I prefer to call them, the upper and lower bracket. But I mean, these guys are just so good. The brackets are so stacked. There is no shame in bowing out of this tournament early. Both of these guys, though, were able to make it round, so they have technically both lives left in this tournament, if you will. And LiveZerg just going to be doing a fairly typical pool first here. He's going to be going into his second hatch, and because his name isn't Bly, he'll probably be going to a quick third hatch as well. Grubby, in the meantime, just going to be sending that probe scout. He has the pile in the front of his base in case he needed to put down a forge quickly, but he sees that everything should be okay since the hatch has gone down and the Nexus goes down first for our Protoss player before the forge. Now, Daybreak is a massive choke at the front of the base. We see Grubby on a lot of maps likes to put his forge in the main base behind the mineral line. This means that the forge is not able to get sniped off by any sort of sneaky tricks or early orthodox timing pushes coming out of the Zerg here, roaches, etc. But also means that these overlords are very, very difficult to actually scout whether or not upgrades are being researched, which can oftentimes be a really useful tool in the Protoss arsenal to deny the Zerg player some scouting. But in this case, because the choke is so wide, it just makes sense, or at least he's decided on this occasion, to put his forge at his front. And it looks like the third is going to in fact go down for LiveZerg here. And we see the probe just confirming that he wanted to take the third, that he might try and double back to confirm this. Let's see. But the Zerglings chasing us should be a pretty good indication that the third base is being taken here for LiveZerg. Overlord going to be scouting both gases being taken in the main base, so he's not going to spot anything out of the ordinary just yet. Likely they'll be going to those high grab locations here, where they cannot be sniped off early game, and then he's going to be ducking back in to check for these gas timings, to check for any hidden tech that Grubby might be trying to hide. That will reveal his strategy a little bit later on. So not too much to talk about at the moment, guys. This looks basically like a bread and butter PvZ. I like that LiveZerg is constantly moving his Zerglings around, checking for forward pawns, and oh, very nice, even patrolling this around the third base to get an indication of whether Grubby might be going for a very greedy build and sneaking in a third Nexus here. Really cool stuff coming out of him. Obviously, that's not going to be happening at this moment in time, but he will get a good indication of that timing. Meanwhile, the second Zergling was at the watchtower, is going to get displaced here by a Zealot, and the Zergling cannot take him on, but what he can do is take the Zealot's place at the front of the base and just see exactly what's going on. He sees that a Chrono Boost is being used on the gateway there, a Stalker going to be popping out, and he currently hasn't rallied into the main base, possibly to ward off any sort of Overlord scout. It's over here right now, and Grubby might be wanting to hide this Stargate that he's got putting down here. So this Stalker will try and do its very best to make sure that the Overlord over here doesn't actually get to scout the Stargate early game. Now, in the meantime, LiveZerg not doing too much out of the area at the moment. He has taken his first 2 gases at the natural, interestingly. So if this is scouted from Grubby and he doesn't get a probe, for example, into the main base, he can't be 100% sure if LiveZerg hasn't taken 4 gas. So he's going to have to scout both bases before he knows, but he is getting his Roach Warren at the moment. And Grubby actually is starting off with a Void Ray here at this Stargate. And now we have the Stalker patrolling here, there, and everywhere to try and stop any sort of scout coming in, because Grubby wants to try and use the element of surprise against his opponent here. He has no idea the Stargate has currently gone down. We see, oh, very nice, a bunch of links catching out the Zealot in the middle of the map. They're going to be taking him out at the Zelnaga Watchtower, and they will be moving forward towards a natural expansion. This is around the time where Zerg players want to be thinking about scouting exactly what their Protoss opponent is up to. LiveZerg doing his best to harass the front here. And he's going to move in and see that the third base has been put down. Grubby actually walling off his probe inside here so that the photon cannon can finish as well. And he's doing a pretty good job of that at the moment. 2 cannons going down here. Admittedly, only the 1 pylon at the moment, but the second one is getting produced in the back as well. So LiveZerg knows that a third base is going down at this moment in time. And this Overlord, in the meantime, has disappeared. Did I miss that? Attempting to get a scout off. It appears to have disappeared, but the Stargate has not been spotted. And that's because this Void Ray probably has a kill on it. Yes, it does. So while we were looking at that third base, guys, the Void Ray popped out, killed that Overlord, and is now moving it across the map. So LiveZerg does know that obviously this is on the way now. He should be moving some of his Overlords back. Yes, we can see this one at the top actually moving towards safer ground. This one feeling quite confident at the moment, deciding not to move that. And this one on the high ground here looks like it will shortly be in a lot of danger. Grubby moving forward with that Void Ray now, attacking, and it doesn't look like a Queen's going to be able to pop back in time to save it, so he will lose that Overlord. This one's still not being moved, but he's going to take his chances out in the center here. And Grubby now just going to see how much harassment damage he could possibly get down at the third base up. The Spore Crawlers are already up. A second Void Ray, though, going into the main. And this is going to be slightly annoying for LiveZerg to deal with. He has got Hydras, though, on the way. 6 of them about to pop out. More Overlords getting destroyed. But he's doing a very good job of making backup Overlords here. He is not supply blocked by any stretch of the imagination here. And Grubby keeping that charge built up on the Void Ray. Going to attempt to kill off a couple of drones. At least 1 drone goes down. But all the shields on this Void Ray have now gone. And with the Hydralisk popping out as well, Grubby is going to have to very quickly make a hasty exit. In the meantime, wow, a third Void Ray as well popping out from Grubby. He's going to be sneaking across the top side of that map there. The current working count, by the way, is 70 to 69 in favor of Grubby. So he's been able to macro up off this 3 base and use these Void Rays for map control to great effect so far in this game number 1. LiveZerg ideally wants to be a base up on Grubby. He doesn't want to have to play a 3-base Zerg versus a 3-base Protoss. So he's going to be looking to do a little bit of aggression, and we actually see him very early on in this game, actually, tearing down the destructible debris in the middle of the map. Now, this is interesting because on Daybreak, you don't typically see these rocks get torn down until very late in the game when one player goes, right, I could just constantly resupply and win the game from this point. Great force fields from Grubby, picking apart 6 roaches there. And another couple of roaches being picked off. This attack is not going well for LiveZerg. But the interesting thing about this is that LiveZerg taking these destructible rocks down means that he has a much more direct route to his opponent's base, not having to go north or south. And that's going to signal to Grubby that he might be going for some sort of aggression. So Grubby wants to be a bit careful here. And LiveZerg actually going for a massive drop play, but Grubby sees it. And 3 Void Rays popping out now. Shuts down the drop play for now at least. And the Hydralisks are going to be able to fend the Void Rays off. But LiveZerg's play has been well and truly dropped at this point. Pun possibly slightly intended. He's going to have to think of a plan B now. Grubby has Immortals with his army composition. He does a +1 attack complete, and LiveZerg actually is going to be going for drop play anyway, but this time he's going up against the third base. Grubby, though, already positioning his army between his natural and his third, is likely to be prepared for this. Let's wait and see. And here comes LiveZerg with a lot of units into the third base, but Grubby has his army there very, very quickly indeed, trying to drop the rest of his army on top of Grubby there, but unable to pull it off. Grubby with some preemptive force fields to try and stop the army from getting too close. Doing a relatively good job of it, I have to say, actually, and LiveZerg is supply blocked from the number of Overlords that have taken down. Grubby still has a huge army supply, and he's actually even on supply with LiveZerg right now. The Overlord's getting taken out. 1 Overlord actually completely full, getting taken out as well. This Colossus trying to get targeted down by the Roach, but as a result, LiveZerg losing the rest of the army is not going to be enough, and with the Void Rays as well, Grubby takes a game number 1 win over our Russian Zerg player.